Welcome officially to our second workshop of Grad Level Writing Bootcamp, How to Navigate Grad Level Writing in the Age of AI. So today we have Richard Young. I'm going to allow him to share a little bit more about his background, but we are grateful to have him and an expertise in this matter. So without further ado, I will hand it over to you, Richard.
Hello, and thank you again for having me back. I think it's been a month and a half since the last one of these workshops, and hopefully this workshop will change your life. That's really what I'm hoping for. I know maybe a lot of people say that, but I'm really hoping that I can show you some tools and tips that will make your life so much easier. That's my goal. If I can have you leave here and like, oh my God, this has changed my life, which it should, then we can start with that. But before I get started, as with all good things in life, we have to have warnings, which is not always fun, but just what I like to. So everything here that I'm going to talk about, I have no financial interest in any of these companies. Number two is that when we deal with generative AI, I'm speaking solely for myself. I don't represent UNLV. I work for United Health Group. I don't represent United Health Group. I don't work for, I'm not disclosing or representing anybody other than myself. Also, everything here I present are simply my own ideas. Now, just to continue down a little bit about that, there's a lot of sensationalism in AI. Okay, so when you go to YouTube, when you go to TikTok, there's a lot of sensationalism. Okay, so just keep that in mind. I teach here at UNLV, and one of the things I always tell my students is, hey, never use ChatGPT. And we'll go into this a little bit more if you have private information. I don't know if some of you are aware what an embargo is on your dissertation or thesis. Embargo means it can't necessarily be shared after a certain time. So if you have an embargo, for example, you don't want to run it through ChatGPT. So just be aware that anything that you put in ChatGPT could very well end up on a website. If you have that in mind, then that's fine. My research, I'm hoping that it ends up on a website. I mean, that's why I publish, to share information. But not everyone is in the same boat as me. Number two, this is another thing that I generally tell my students when I teach, is don't use AI without an approval. So if I'm teaching or if I'm using AI and my mentor, my professor, somebody says, hey, you can't use it, and I get caught, that's grounds for getting you in a lot of trouble. Also during this lecture or this talk and other talks, as always, I'm using generative AI. I can't predict what it's going to say. So if it says anything out of context or anything that's not appropriate, just remember it's a computer. I don't have control of it. In the last couple of years, I've never had that happen, but one time I'm sure it will. So I always want to put that disclosure out there. Now, just a little bit about me, because I'm not much talking about me. I got my undergraduate here at UNLV in the Honors College. I looked at many motifs, which are little small helper proteins, basically, and how they relate to disease progression. And I found, basically what I found is 800 ways that diseases can happen that were unidentified. Pretty cool. For my master's, I kind of took it to the next step. And what I want to do is I use large language models. I don't want to say really to get rid of doctors, but I use large language models to say, hey, how can we use clinical trials, all this text, and find stuff that we didn't know? So basically, I was one of the very first people to use large language models at UNLV because I had to go through security. I had to go through a bunch of people at UNLV. And we're going to talk about this to really uncover new information. Now, large language models are all over the place. You see them on TV, on YouTube. But before it was really popular, it was a really tricky thing, and there was a lot of security concerns. I'm currently in my progress of getting a PhD, hopefully this coming semester. Again, I work with Parkinson's and TDCS, so I want to know how can we help people with Parkinson's without drugs, without any intervention, something that's cheap and affordable. We see the news all the time about how big pharma, how drugs. I want to make information that can help people with Parkinson's and make them healthier. As I said, I work at the Lee College of Business, so I'm in the grad college. So I'm in neuroscience, but I teach outside of my college. So I teach in Lee College of Business. And I teach, guess what? Artificial intelligence, large language model. I teach everything we're going to go over today. I also work outside of both Lee and my home college. I work at IGI, an Institute for Gaming, as an AI researcher. And I also work at Optum or United Healthcare as a natural language processing or a neurolinguistic scientist. And I do a lot of speaking events. So hopefully, I can impart on you some really, really cool stuff. Um, I'm gonna try to speak to you basically as a student. I'm not really interested in speaking to you as a professor or anything else like that. I want to get, I want to get you hit the ground running basically. So before we get started, here is some of the things I'm going to talk about. And if you have just a phone, you can take a picture of that. It's just a couple links because I know there's nothing worse than sitting through a presentation and not being able to go to the links. Okay, and I can share this. I can present this a couple more times, whatever you need. But basically, a few of the tools I'm going to go over instead of typing a million times. Here's a PDF that just goes to your Google Drive. Okay, so um, hopefully you guys have that. If not, I can share the link and we can always get over this a little bit more. So I'm not much on slides. I'd much rather present directly to you. Let's use the tools. But before we do that, there's a couple things I want to go over too. Um, and it's always important to think about ethics of AI. And as I said, when I was doing my master's, I found out, now I don't know if you know that Grammarly, which is a program that a lot of students use, it's a spell checking program, is actually banned. And you can get in trouble for using it. So this is the state of Nevada. And here's Grammarly. I use Grammarly. But if you're a GA and you're working on a state computer and you install Grammarly, now you're installing banned software. And it's an AI program that helps you write. Now, I mean, I know a lot of students use it, but again, it's a 100% banned software. So that is one end of the AI. That's one extreme of the AI. And the other end is there's a New England Journal of Medicine that deals with AI, and they encourage you to use AI. Okay, so that's a New England Journal of Medicine, I believe it is the AI journal, and they want you to use large language models. So how do you as a student kind of, well, hey, if I do this, I'm gonna get kicked out of school or just get a really bad warning. If I do this and I don't use AI, they're not gonna accept my journal. And it's really hard. Some universities, some journals, some classes completely ban LLM or use of chat GPT, and others encourage it. In my class, I encourage it. A friend of mine, Dr. Jose Fonseca, he does not allow you to use it. I think in the philosophy department, they don't want you to use it. So really, really dive into what you're allowed to do. Ask your professor, because again, it's so important to have an open line of communication with your professor. Hey, can I use this? Can I do this? Because some of the tools I'm going to show you really help you. But if you get in trouble, it's not a help at all. Okay. And number two, remember that AI is basically trained on the internet. And we've all been out on the internet. We all know there's a lot of garbage out there, a lot of bad information. So just keep that in the back of your mind when you ask ChatGPT something. Hey, can I do this? Is this out there? No, there's a lot of bad information out there. So it's your job to critically think. So when AI presents you something, we'll talk about references here. When AI presents you something, does it just make basic sense? So you shouldn't rely on AI to take over your job. You should rely on it as a tool to help you. So, it doesn't matter if I'm watching YouTube or TikTok. If I see something and that doesn't sound right, I'll pull out a calculator a lot of times to check the math. I will Google something because I don't want to be watching something that sends me bad information. It's poison to your brain. And then LLM should be the same way. There's tons of tools out there. There's way more than I could ever present in 1 hour, 10 hours. I could spend a whole class presenting tools. So how did I decide to present to you with certain tools? The tools that I think will be most impactful, the ones that will help the most, the ones that will change your life today. Now, some of these tools cost, some of these tools don't. This one, for example, I put $20 on the account and I sell $20. They allow you to do 1,000 free searches a day. And that's more than I do, but some of them cost money, some of them don't. Google Notebook, you're not allowed, it's not banned, they just have it turned off. So you're allowed to use it at UNLV, but you can't use your UNLV email address. Okay. Of course, ChatGPT and Claude, we're going to go over that in a little bit more. Research Rabbit. So there are all these different tools that kind of specialize into doing different things. But let's get ready to party. So what's this solar? So I don't know if the bulk of you are master students, undergrads, graduates, but college is about reading and reading a ton of stuff and reading a ton of the wrong stuff. I mean, and I hate to say that when we're looking for stuff, this is what the thing looks like right here. The plugins, Google Chrome plugins, just what it looks like. But now, what does it do? And it was originally designed, real quick, to go to this site and kind of make notes. Now, this is like really heavy STEM stuff, half the stuff I don't understand. But if I click on something here that I have no math, I mean, okay, I click here and I click an article. Oh, what's this? This is what it does. It looks at the paper and it gives me feedback on that paper. It allows me to pull my own summary up. Now, those of you that start in a particular field, you'll know that every Alzheimer's paper, probably not all, but I'll say a good 80%, Alzheimer's is the most common neurological disease. And they all start the same way, and they eat up half of the summary. And so you're reading a summary, and you're like, I don't know if I need this paper or not. It's useless to me. Well, here, oh, look at here. I mean, questions for author, suggestions. I can dig into a paper and really understand what they're trying to communicate with me. So let me grab this one. Give us a second. There we go. This paper presents a novel approach to improve, I don't know, action cycle and brain-computer interface. Control robotic systems. So, I mean, just like that, it starts telling me what this paper is about. And you can have it give you more. You can have it give you the number of participants. But from this area, this solar, I guess, XIV, now I know as a researcher, hey, this is not useful for me, or this is very useful for me. And you saw how fast it runs. Now, the next question is, hey, I don't use this site. This is a pre-press site. My mentor doesn't want me to use pre-presses. I can't use pre-presses. And I understand that. So they just started probably within the last month. So I get this bar right here, allowing it to use in PubMed. Now we all use PubMed. It doesn't always work in PubMed, but look at that. So here's the abstract provided by the author, which I hate to say, this is kind of sometimes like a sales pitch, which is fine. It's just that's their job. It's a sales pitch. Okay. Some of it, like probably the first sentence, maybe not really that useful. Maybe the second sentence kind of useful, but here, this one can go into a lot. Look at the difference here. Talks about some of the references they find. I mean, and like I said, I can customize this to find what I want, the number of subjects, how old it is. Here, and like I said, I clicked on some of these this morning. Up to 50 to 70% of patients with liver cirrhosis. Okay, this paper investigates the relationship between gut microbiome, gut microbiomes, and the increase of something. So this will help you go through PubMed and go through a lot of sources to find papers that are relevant to you. Because I don't know if you've had, I'm sure you probably had a talk on like EndNote, Zotero, any of these reference managers, but there's just so much information out there, but a lot of it isn't relevant to what you do. Will it help you get to the goal? And we don't know until we read the paper. And reading some of these papers, I mean, it could be a good hour. This is not a light paper. So instead of reading this, really skimming it, even that, now I can have an LLM summarize it. I guess it was back here one back. So yeah, it doesn't work all the time, but when it does work, it is really nice. And like I said, I paid $20 on their API, like a one-time fee, and they still haven't touched any of that $20 because again, you get 1,000 citations, I think, a day, or 1,000 summaries a day would be a better word. So when you start thinking about, hey, when I have to start doing lit reviews, when I have to start doing research, and I'm not really sure what they're trying to tell me, oh, here. This can be a big, huge help for you. So the next thing, one of my favorite things, Google LM. Again, this is not banned by UNLV, it's just turned off at UNLV. I have my account turned on. You can submit a ticket to OIT, get it turned on. I think this will change your life. I tell all my students, this is amazing. So one of the problems with a lot of what we do is we have multiple papers, we have multiple sources of information we have to derive. I have to figure out what I want from that. Okay. And so and again, the cool thing about this is it works with videos, it works with PDFs, it works with Word documents. And when one of the classes I teach, what I do is I upload 20 TikTok videos, little 30-second, 1-minute videos from TikTok. I upload 20, 30 videos, and they're all about resumes. And I said, hey, what are the 10 tips for graduate students to get jobs? What can they do to make their resume better? And it answers that. Okay. So I have some sample data here. So let's see what we have. So these are just a bunch of, we'll create new. We'll start getting these things processing. These are just a bunch of nice boring papers that everyone's written. Okay, I just downloaded them this morning at 9:30. So okay, I think there's what, and some of them are big. I mean, 17 megs, 5 megs. So, I mean, they're not little papers. So you upload it to that, and then this interface, and I probably can make this just a little bit bigger, might make life a little bit easier. Um, Let me go over this way. Okay, so these are, well, most of them are converted. So we can have it do its custom-made study guide, FAQ, briefing document, or timeline. Or we can ask it a question. What, I don't know, what are the top 10 methods, what are the top 10 AI methods in PD? Now, another thing, when we talk about research, it's always important to kind of cite your sources. How do I know it's not lying to me? And when it comes back with the answer, it will cite what paper basically, it will say 1, 2, 3, or 4, and you can click on it, but it will cite what paper it came from. Okay, so let's see what it found. And we look at how much it is. So it says right now, support vector machine, number 1. So I can click on this, and it says right there, number 5. Table 11, evaluation of proposed stacking ensemble methods for Parkinson's disease classification. Look at that. Okay, well, I don't want to do that one. I want to, what? Let me start a new question here. Get rid of this. You can always add more stuff too. Yes. What are the worst methods? So you can do that. You can say, hey, what are future directions? What are some things people might ask me on this material? You can create frequently asked questions. So you can take all your classwork, all your PowerPoints or PDFs that your professors give you, and you can create a study guide. Just upload all your documents here. I show my students, hey, here's all my PowerPoints. Boom, just throw them in here. And guess what? It's going to make a study guide right for you. So right here's a study guide. We can also talk to you and interact with you. So you can do this kind of like generate, it's like a podcast. Some people love it. I just don't learn that way, but it's totally, you can do that. You can do timelines, briefing document is like a study guide, I guess, a little bit more detailed. So it's pretty neat. Now, let's keep going here. So those were academic papers, okay? You can see I put the graduate college handbook in there. I can, instead of trying to do Command F or Control F in a document, why don't I have it teach me that? But let me just go create new. So these are full books. I mean, this is a full book I use for my class, and it is, I don't know, a lot of pages. Hundreds of pages. It's a very big, boring book. That's what we teach. So this one says 120 by 120. That. Here's another book. Lots of stuff. Lots of stuff. Right now we're on what, page 150. So we can just grab these books up here, put a full book up there. Now again, you can't put the whole world in here, but I think you can put like 200 documents in here. So like 2 million pages. So that's more than you get through in a semester. Sometimes it takes a second to generate. Normally it runs a little faster in the morning, just to let you know. Let me think, what can I ask you? What are transformers and why are they important? There we go. Yeah, that works. The transformers are a type of machine learning method to basically provide contextual awareness to a document. Again, you can do a study guide. Look at that. Okay, transformers have produced a profound impact for several reasons. Well, let's find number 8. So figure 1.6. from the natural language processing book. So literally, you could upload your book and you have it quiz me on any book that any of your professors give you. Um, can you write a quiz or provide, I don't know, type today, provide me 10 questions on chapter, I don't know, 10 for the book. Oh, what book is there? Let me just grab this book. Hopefully there's a chapter 10 in here. And we'll start doing that. So really, your education, your knowledge is at your handling it. So what are the two main type of analysis conducted to evaluate code coverage? I don't know what that is. Why do authors decide to train a transformer model from scratch in this chapter? Describe the process of tokenization for Python. We literally just wrote 10 questions from a particular chapter out of a book. And that was, oh, I don't know, what, 3 minutes of my life? Well, you can do a study guide, we do that. So I really want you to think about how you can integrate Google Notebook and make your life a lot easier. Because I mean, sometimes we get overwhelmed with the raw amount of information that either a mentor provides us, a class provides us. There's a lot of information out there, and this world's accelerating. The knowledge and the data we're creating is accelerating. So you have to be able to figure out how to slice through that data much quicker. And this is one method to do it. So I'm hoping you guys will use this. What is next on my hit list? Okay, Cite. Now, Cite, to be honest with you, I don't use as much as I probably should. But this presents a unique opportunity for you. And let me explain the scenario of this. You have a paper, a paragraph, a section. And this happens a lot. You wrote it out, you didn't use ChatGPT, you wrote it, and now you're wondering, did I forget any citations? Do I need to add anything to it? Because again, there's papers released every year. In December, I wrote a paper for the College of Business, and I just got an email back, so what, January 13th, there was 22 new papers on this topic. How am I ever supposed to keep up with that? Am I forgetting anything in this paragraph? So this will help you with that. So this is a student, a friend of mine's. I just grabbed something that's from Milan. I don't know. He graduated from our lab a couple years ago. And just something he wrote in his, I believe, thesis a couple years ago. So it's all public information. And I want to go assist. Can you find references for this? And then I'm just going to paste it. Give it a second. And one of the things that ChatGPT is inherently bad at, this is actually pretty good at most of the time, is finding references. And the reason is because the way ChatGPT works is it kind of builds a sentence together. Well, with a reference, we can't really build a reference. We have to keep the reference as it is. We can't say, hey, here's a number, here's a volume from a different part, here is the first couple of words from nature, here's a few words from Latin. You can't build a reference. References are inherently static. Okay. That's why ChatGPT a lot of times fails at references, because it's just the way it's programmed to do it. It's programmed to make a sentence coherent. Sorry about that. And so to build a reference, a lot of times they're not spelled right, they're not always formatted right. So ChatGPT tries to fix that, and that's what fails. This is actually really, really good about finding references. This was trained and designed from the ground up to focus on references. Okay, so you see that it found references. This can also show, and I know like maybe this one's probably not included because I believe the student graduated in 2022. Don't quote me on that, but I think he graduated then. You can see the full text of the paper. Interesting. You see how popular, how many times it was cited. So, I mean, this one was cited 1,000 times. This is probably a really good paper compared to something that might have less citations. It depends on really the domain's specificity of it. But you see it adds it right where it thinks it should go. That is really amazing. And this helps tremendously. Because a lot of times I will get a paragraph, I write a paragraph, I'll add 1 or 2 citations, and I always think to myself, what am I forgetting? What am I forgetting? What else don't I know? And I'm going to try it with a little longer paragraph. Same student, Milan, that graduated a couple of semesters ago. Let me just go. right here. You see it's relatively fast too. Please find references um, or things I might have forgotten. And you tell it, hey, I only want newer references, I don't want all this, but overall, it does a really good job of finding things you might have forgotten. So here are the top 25. It said 43, it's still working, but here are the top 25 publications that it's that I might have forgotten. So it's going through and looking at that, then it's going through and kind of rewriting it. Now, fast check to make sure the references are actually real references. So you see, it takes a minute, but the ability to have a paragraph or two and be able to find things that you miss, trust me, that is groundbreaking. Because you can go to PubMed or the internet and just search and search and search, and you will still miss stuff. I mean, unless you're dealing with something that's hyper small and there's no published papers out there, and you're just, there's just nothing out there. But a lot of times that's not what we do. You know. So- And then to tell me where to put it, this is amazing. So the next one is probably the one besides ChatGPT that I use less, the least. And I just recently got this probably last month, Jenny AI. And it's an interesting little AI tool. It's supposed to help you write like literature reviews, I guess, would be the value of it. I got it because I'm working with Nevada State College on a project where we're trying to do literature reviews. And it works, but just it's not there for me. But I think maybe in a year or two, it will be there. So oh yeah, okay, please write a detailed lit review on GLP-1s and Parkinson's, I guess. I don't know. I know there's only like 2 or 3 papers on it, but so see, it said, can I tell you how to do that, please? What we do. And the effects of pros and cons. So simple enough. You can do creative headings, standard headings, blah, 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 and some misspellings. I'm just gonna have it start writing. And what it does is it comes out with your just standard paper. You can accept each sentence. If you don't like the sentence, you can say, hey, try again. It puts a citation there. So it does kind of give you a nice kind of starting point. So sometimes in the lab I work in Dr. Poston's lab, Brock Poston, we get ideas and we really don't know how to vet them out. Okay. This week's idea is we're looking at gambling addiction in women because there's not a lot of resources on it. Last year, this time, we were looking at cell phone radiation, how it affects motor performance. If you put a cell phone up to your head and you talk on your cell phone a lot, does that affect your ability to throw or shoot? Or, how does that affect the brain? So, we cover a lot of different topics. Well, how do we flesh out what topics have information, have things that we can use, and what topics don't? Well, this is one tool that we use that on. This is kind of what we're doing over at Nevada State, what I'm working with Nevada State College on. Hey, does this lit review make sense to proceed? Do you see how it kind of just accepts it? Let me reject the sentence here and we'll just remake it. Try again. You can go in here and try to change it a little bit, but again, I just don't necessarily like the way per se it writes or the volume it writes. I mean, it gives you like maybe a 1-page executive summary. That's the way I think of this. It gives me a nice 1-page executive summary. Cute, but efficient, I don't know. So now let's go to the ones we're really going to change off. The ones everyone wants to talk about is ChatGPT, and there's another one, Claude, but there's hundreds of LLMs. Okay, so just a couple of general things. Okay, there's ChatGPT 3.5, 4 mini, 4.0, 0.1 mini, there's 0.1, 0.1 Pro, 0.3 sometimes in January. As you move up from left to right, they're slower, but generally more intelligent. So I could ask 3.5 something, I could ask 0.1 something. 0.1 should give me a better answer. Okay, but it also takes longer. Sometimes when I use on 0.1 Pro, it takes 5-6 minutes to answer a question. Why use 3.5? It takes a few seconds. Another very common one is Claude. The same thing with Claude, which is kind of weird. They don't do the versioning quite the same, but Claude 3.5, this is their speed model. Opus is a writer. It's very good for writing, but again, it's more intelligent than this one. And Sonnet, the one I use a lot, is often better than both of these. Okay, so that's a. There's something called token size. I just want to make you aware of this. Token size is how much either you can get into the model or how much you can get out of the model. Now, why is it important? Well, it's cute that we can change a paragraph, but what about sending a whole document? And what about sending one of those, something like this in there, that has hundreds of pages in it? Maybe not hundreds, but this is very dense material. Can I copy all this and paste it into an LM and find information out about this? Well, generally speaking, as I move up through these models, they have slightly larger token sizes. Okay. Yeah, so that's basically the easiest way to explain that. There's another thing too that's called temperature. And temperature is basically how creative we want it to be. So if you have a temperature close to what they call 0.1, we want a very deterministic output. If you have a temperature at 1, it will kind of be more flexible in its output. But let's get into this because this is where the fun part comes in. So there is an application. This is just the application. Okay. And now, as we talked about with ChatGPT or with anything else, it uses your data. So if you just pay I believe it's $20 a month, you pay the $20 a month, it will, and this is Claude, it will take your prompts and your data and it will use it to train on. If you don't want that, you can pay for a business model at $30 a month. Okay, so just be aware of that. Anything I type in here today, in theory, it can train on. So let me change my model to something a little bit faster. And certain models too, we'll talk about this here in a second, certain models can do more. So like 3.5, for example, I can upload something and have it make a graph. Let me hide all this stuff here. So let's have some fun now here. So ChatGPT, so for an example, this is an abstract I made with ChatGPT, if it ever loads. So this is something that ChatGPT is great at, is doing abstracts. Might not be the best at writing papers, but if you ever suffer from writer's block, if you ever suffer from, dude, what do I do next? I mean, we all have that feeling. How do I get this done? It's a huge project. I'm stressed. What do I do? ChatGPT is really, really, really good at coming up with outlines. Really good. Not so good at writing all the time, but very good at coming up with outlines. So let's what did I say I wanted to talk about first? Okay, let's brainstorm. Okay, like I said last year we talked about, hey, cell phone usage is not necessarily brain damage, but motor function. If you put a phone up to your ear, are you slightly slower? So it came out with a nice little outline, and you can just talk to it. Hey, can you change? Can you add? I don't know, motor performance. Performance to this. Ah, so there we go. Motor performance. Let's say if we want to remove public health, you just say, please remove number 8. So ChatGPT, at least on the topic of brainstorming, coming up with ideas, is phenomenal. Is absolutely phenomenal. So it removed public risk. Let's see. Yep, it skipped right from number 9, which was motor performance. This used to be number 8 used to be like public risk. Now it's motor performance. We can also do upload. Just kind of copy and paste. Let's see what we have here. Here's just a random PDF I selected. I'm just going to select all. Control A, copy, paste. Let me move this out of the way. So it's a little bit more detailed than that first thing I showed you, but again, you have to download it, you have to paste into Chat GPT. That's pretty interesting. Like I said, that's really good. Now, I don't know. Let me go back to a ChatGPT 4 model, which is right here. Now, I don't know how many of you are really good at Excel. I teach Excel, and I don't think I'm very good at Excel. But here is, well, let's just open it up real quick. I deal with a lot of Excel spreadsheets. So here, you can see this one has like, I don't know, lots and lots and lots and lots of data. Okay. But let me just see if ChatGPT can upload it. Okay, this one. What's the name of this worksheet? 10x sine wave. Okay, so I don't know. Let's see. Can you make a graph on the worksheet? Can you also average the columns and give me some descriptive stats? And don't worry, as I'm going to have probably 10-15 minutes at the end. I really want to get your questions, get you involved. Look at that. So it made a graph already. It made an average. Oh, Richard, how do I know that's an average? Oh, let's check it out. That's a fair question. Where'd Excel go? Here, Excel. Sham overall average, blah, blah, blah. Okay, sham overall. So it looks like there are count 12. Count 12. That looks a good start. Sham overall average. Let's just do this. Not average. 0.00094. 0.0094. Look at that. So I can check the rest of them, but probably quicker than I could do in Excel. I could do it this way. So it made a graph, which I can download. Boom. I'm going to put my desktop somewhere, I guess. And it didn't average. I mean, I literally just uploaded an Excel spreadsheet, pointed it at the right worksheet, and said, "Hey, do some stuff," and it did. And it did. And it does it with 50,000 rows, 10,000 rows. I mean, it works really relatively well through most things I've ever tested it for. You can work through multiple worksheets. Let's say you have you need this one, this one, this one. Oh, here, let's see. Can you do the same thing for the worksheet in MVC? Turn it off. So yeah, I can do that. You can also upload. I'm going to do some spell checking here in a second. And 4 volts. There you go. Did another worksheet. Go PowerPoints. Let's see if we can do a PowerPoint. New file. And it is right here, ChatGPT and spelling. Yeah, here. So here's a PowerPoint. Good old-fashioned PowerPoint. PPTX. You can ask it, how can I make this better? Are there any spelling mistakes? So I don't have to send one slide at a time. I still got to wait for it to upload. But literally, it will do the same thing through a PowerPoint. I will wait for it to upload. How big is this machine? 7 megs. It should be that big. Machine. And here's a good thing about doing live demos. So while trust me, it does work. I've done it before. It will tell you all the mistakes, blah, blah, blah. Now, I suck at spelling. I always have. That's one of my weaknesses. So let's see what ChatGPT can do since this one's going to upload right now. I'm not going to wait for it. I want to know, cancel. I want to know how it can really help me with spelling. But how more than spelling, just grammar, structure. So what do we have here? So this is somebody's dissertation. I have no idea who's somebody in our labs. Okay, so go on here. Hopefully it uploads. Can you? Yeah, there we go. Can you look? Oh, can you proofread this for errors or suggestions for better like better English? Let's call the word better English and spelling and spelling mistakes. So a whole document, and I mean it's a chunky dissertation. Are there any spelling mistakes? Good, there's no spelling mistakes on this one. So you do the same thing, like I said, if your paper's on PDF, there are spelling mistakes in my document. There we go. So like I said, don't sell chat GPT short because it can do quite amazing things. There we go. Uh, so these are the like some of the different models. Let me start new models. Let's try O1 Mini. And I'm just going to open it. Click all. Close all tabs. Can I make this? I can see it's just I can make this better. And while I keep going on, there's another program I do talk about. It's called Research Rabbit. I'm not going to cover it. Basically, you can upload a bunch of citations, and it will tell you papers before a certain time, papers after a certain time, and also papers by a certain author. Okay, so there's that. Subheadings use subheadings. I mean, it is. And trust me, if you can fix this before your mentor gets this, before somebody else gets this, it just gives them less things to call you back and say, hey, you got to fix this, you got to fix this. So now we talked a little bit about what things are good at, but a lot of times I warned you that, hey, with citations, ChatGPT, Claude, everything really outside that Cite AI is really, really bad at inferring references. Okay. Factual accuracy. So a hallucination is basically where an LLM kind of puts together things that aren't true. They're getting better over time, and there's ways to kind of prevent that. You can use multi-models. You can do a lot of different things. But that's why it's important that ChatGPT doesn't replace you, that you work alongside with ChatGPT. I mean, how many of us use Microsoft Word and we know it has spell checking on it? Does that change the way you think? No, it just helps you write better, more efficiently. ChatGPT, and when I say ChatGPT, it could be Claude, it could be Llama, it could be any LLM. Some are better, some are worse. But at the end of the day, it's there to augment you. What else do we have? Another thing too that I see, and this is always hard, especially with computers. There was a paper published a short time ago that ChatGPT and Claude things like that haven't improved efficiency in the workforce. So why is that? Because often as humans, we'll fight with something to automate it longer than it's worth just doing it manually. So if it takes me 2 or 3 hours to do an outline using ChatGPT, and I can just write an outline on a piece of paper and it takes me 2 minutes, well, I'm the idiot for using ChatGPT. So when is it good to automate things? I mean, for example, averages, I can do averages really quick in Excel. Now, not necessarily Monte Carlo simulations, not a lot of more complex things. And ChatGPT might be a little faster. So you have to balance in your life when is it best to use ChatGPT and when it's best to just do it by hand. Okay, and that's the right tool for the right job. Another thing that ChatGPT is really good at, let me switch it over, is explaining things. Can you explain to me, I don't know, linear regression as a fifth grader. So ChatGPT can write things at a different level. If you give enough context, it can make stories, it can make analogies, it can explain things at a college level or at a fifth grade level. So I obviously work at United Healthcare. We deal with denials and claims. The government says that we have to write these letters at a sixth grade level. I think something like the average American reads at a sixth grade level. So if I send out a letter to somebody written at a college level, they have a problem understanding that. Okay, can you re-explain it to me at a PhD level? So that's one reason that we can use ChatGPT too in our lives to kind of understand fundamental concepts again and again and again. So I mean, now it's going into the math model of simple linear regression. Here it didn't do that. Gather data, draw a line, make a prediction. Oh, that's easy enough. Most fifth graders can understand that, I think. This gets a little, when we start adding weights and biases and we start doing more linear regression error and this gets a little bit more, different methods to do it. See, same topic. And one of the issues is that often mentors, teachers, professors, anybody, they've done something for so long that it's easy for them to say, oh yeah, all you gotta do is take the sum of this and I'm like, dude, I don't understand you. I really don't understand you. Can you make it simple for me? And they don't know if you're being serious or not. So, or sometimes you don't want to ask. Oh, I'm I'm scared. I'm scared. I don't know. I called like an hour ago. Hey, am I doing this with somebody else, or don't be afraid to ask. But you can always ask Chat GPT first. It's great at helping you find answers. You know. So let me see if I can get the chat window open and see if people have some questions. So we got about 10 minutes left, and as always, I'm going to say like, I know nobody else probably is because that's just where life is. But let me see if there's a chat. Um,
Richard, I had a
mhm.
chat come directly to me.
Okay.
So going back at the earlier when you showed the Google Notebook
Hmm.
LLM Pro, um,
Hmm.
had you mentioned that is there a specific OIT email students are supposed to reach out to get access?
I would just submit a ticket. That's what I would do.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find. So I would just submit a ticket or call, what is it, 702-895 0777? Say, hey, can I get access to Google Notebooks? So I know that I have it on the chat. Alice Matthews has it, and she's a GA, and Kaz over in IGI have it. Okay. I just said, hey, I use it for teaching. They gave it to me, no problem. I told OIT that Alice uses it to do research. They gave it to her, no problem. They just turn it off, and I'm not really sure why. I know the School of Medicine, if you're a SOM student, you can't have it. So if you're actually under and you use secure and you're actually under the School of Medicine, probably the School of Dental to you, they won't give it to you. But otherwise, just try it and see if they'll give it to you. Otherwise, just create a Gmail account. I mean, I have the same thing for my regular Gmail account is that Notebook LM. So it works in both ways. So, Notebook LM, let me get over here, bring this over here. Try Notebook LM, and then let me get over here 1 second here. Notebook LM. Boom. So this is my personal account. And there we go. So this is actually the resume thing that I tell my students about right here. These are just a bunch of TikTok videos, you know. And like I said, it works great. So, if OIT pushes back for any reason, just create your own one, but it tell you it's a UNLV OIT and say, hey, I want access to a Notebook LM. You remember, they're there to help you, whether you like it or not, they're there, you pay them. It's hard to say, but part of your tuition goes to them and they're there to help you succeed. If Notebook LM is going to help you succeed, tell them, hey, I would like access turned on to Notebook LM for my account. And they should be able to do it. And you see, I mean, I have a lot more Notebook LMs in here. So yeah. What other questions do you have? And like I said, feel free to raise your hand, speak out, type them in chat. There's a lot of material in here. And actually, while you do that, I will pull. I can find it. That link that I had earlier, so you guys can download the links. It was on Google Drive. Again, like I said, there's some of the things here that I didn't cover. There's Perplexity, which I didn't even list on here. But there's a lot of products out there. There's a lot of products. I know I went fast today. I know I didn't cover all the products as much as I'd like to. But hey, if you say, hey, this will really help me, this won't, good for you. Just notebooks. Let me show. Do I see any? Wait, no questions. Everyone's so quiet. Uh,
Well, actually, I see Prince has his hand up.
oh, good. Prince, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is pretty insightful and great information shared. We are grateful. You mentioned that ChatGPT, whenever we upload personal information and other information, is used to train the model. So there are subsequently we can find whatever information we have uploaded on site or is being used to train the model. Does it work does it work same for the other sites like the Notebook LM or the sites that you propose? Does this, whatever we upload on these sites, used to train the model in Notebook Element site and other AI, apart from the ChatGPT?
Okay, so every site has their different rules. Quad, which is just another LM. I know that their terms of service say, hey, they only keep stuff for 30 days. So if you what are, I don't know, Parkinson's and GLP, and if I upload data, they only keep it for 30 days. Everyone is different. I wish I could tell you that yes or no. And like I said, ChatGPT, you can pay, I think, another $10 a month, which is outrageous. That's very frustrating to me that, I'm a consumer and they're still using my data. I'm not very happy about that, but I guess that's just the way life is. So ChatGPT, I know, is $20. They keep your data, or at least, and you may not be able to extract that, or somebody else might not be able to extract it, but still, I'm not very trusting. I'm a computer guy, so we're paranoid. Claude is 30 days. What else? I think I know what's the other one? The one that does the summaries, this Avi. They don't keep data very long. They keep data for like a week, I think, then they delete it. Notebook LM, I'm not sure Google's policy on that, to be honest with you. And it's just one of the things you have to look for. Every one of them is going to be different. So it's hit and miss on everything. What good question, Prince, because like I said, it is very scary when somebody has all. I mean, a friend of mine typed in, "Hey, what do you know about me?" on his ChatGPT, and it was scary what it knew about him. It was really scary. So if you guys use ChatGPT for more than a month, ask, "Hey, what do you know about me?" And it can predict your preferences, what you like to eat, maybe where you work, everything else like this. So I wish I could give you a better answer on that. So other questions? See, this time I'm actually now looking at the chat, so or the hands up, so I can see now. See, did such a good job. No questions. Let me see what somebody thinks here. Should generate this while you. But yeah, like I said, a lot of students, and I mean, I don't know if you were in this one. So when I did the Notebook LM last month, but it is really that changing. One nice thing too about Notebook LM is that it doesn't necessarily make things up. It doesn't, I don't want to say go out to the internet and get things like an LLM. Traditionally, an LLM is like a mod, so it has past experience and that can perturb its answers. In theory, with Notebook LM, whatever I upload is really the only reality it knows. Okay. So if let's say you have a mentor and you're crazy, or a teacher that's crazy, we have all had them once or twice in college, and he provides you a lot of counterfactual data. That's the type of research I do, is counterfactual intelligence. But he provides you a lot of counterfactual stuff. I can put that counterfactual stuff in Notebook, and it will give me correct information based on what I submit, which is really nice. ChatGPT, Claude, and all those other ones will not do that. And listen, any questions? Monica, Ashley, Diane? Hope to start going around the room, start naming people. Ella, any questions? We only have 2 minutes left. This is your one time. No, guys, seriously though, you have my email address, ryoung, easiest email address at the university, ryoung@UNLV. Please engage with me. You know, even though I'm a student and even though I teach, from student to student, my job right now today is to help you get to the goal, to help you be able to take this large corpus information and make it manageable. I mean, as an undergraduate, I read hundreds of thousands. I got notebooks, reading binders, with probably 8 inches thick, a shelf full of them for my undergrad honors dissertation because this technology wasn't out there. We just sit there and highlight and read, go to the UNLV library, highlight and read. Uh, and it's just, now it's a lot easier. Yeah. You're welcome, Ashley.
Well, thank you so much for joining us again, Richard, and sharing with this specific group who's, writing these heavy projects. So these tools are going to be especially
I
applicable
hope so.
for these folks. So we really appreciate your time today and joining us. And thank you to everyone, students in the group who joined the workshop as well.